Ramakrishna Samajnaya Yo Dharma Sthapanarato Viresham Tam Namamyaham. We bow down to that Lord of the heroes, who, that the Swami Vivekananda, who merged in the supreme truth in the highest samadhi, still at the command of Sri Ramakrishna, came down to this earth to establish Dharma. So, first of all, nice, wonderful to be back in Houston. Thank you. I'll be here for 3 weeks. Well, Saturday to Friday, that makes a full 3 weeks, actually. Well, we'll have some talks, some classes, some daily evening meditation at 6. I missed it today. I just slept right through the alarm and everything, and I was overtired. But luckily I made it for Arati. And we'll have daily meditation at 6, Arati at 7, and then Tuesday class, Bhagavad Gita, Friday class, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Sunday talks, and next Saturday we'll have a Karma Yoga. This coming Thursday, we'll have in the afternoon, we'll have a Thanksgiving gathering, feast, for those who would like to join us here for that. That's what we're going to do. Make some khichdi and goodies. And turkey is not going to be there, but we'll be the turkeys. So I thought tonight we could be a little informal, but we have been reading in Hollywood the letters of Swami Vivekananda. Now, perhaps you're familiar with are you aware that a new edition has come out of the letters? Maybe many of you are not aware. The letters of Swami Vivekananda was a fairly small book comprising a selection of his letters. And if you wanted to read all of them, you had to go to the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, where they're scattered throughout the volumes, but not in chronological order. Each volume that has the letters, they are in chronological order, but there's only a portion of them. And then as more letters were found, they were published in the subsequent volumes of the complete work. So it was hard to get a sense of the full scope of Swami Vivekananda's letter writing. And also, when reading the letters, oftentimes you'd see ... these ellipses marking material that was dropped. So why were things dropped? What was dropped? Sometimes we wonder, why was something is removed here? What happened? So the original editors of those letters felt that some of the material, some of the things Swamiji wrote was not of general interest. Maybe he just wrote something about his health. There are some letters where he writes in very specific detail to Swami Brahmananda, his closest brother, you can say, monastic brother, extremely specific details about his personal health that may not seem like these details are suitable for the general public to know, like how many bowel movements he had in a day, these kind of things. So we can see some of these things were removed. But the trustees of the order decided that no, we should bring out a new edition of the letters of Swami Vivekananda containing every known letter that he wrote in order from beginning to end. And let's put back in all those things that we took out, that the previous editors took out. So the work was entrusted particularly to one young monk who worked very hard for I don't know how many years, several years, collecting all the known manuscripts of letters, original letters where they are available, the oldest available copies where originals are not available, and the letters in English, restoring them, including sometimes the misspellings that Swamiji misspelled, and the letters in Bengali, retranslating them, including all the omitted portions. So we have now a vast treasure in 4 volumes. It stacks up this high, 4 volumes of the complete letters of Swami Vivekananda, including extensive footnotes explaining who is Swamiji writing to, who is this person whom he is writing to, who are the people mentioned in the letter, and also some historical notes on Swamiji's travels, his whereabouts, his doings during the time of the letters that are being printed right there. So it's a tremendous and very inspiring collection, or it provides a window into the person of Swami Vivekananda. We get from his lectures and the yogas and all of that, we get his teachings in full force. And in the life of Vivekananda, of course, we get what he did, and something about it, we get some glimpses into his personality. But here we get hundreds of glimpses of Vivekananda, the man, in relation to other individuals. And this is wonderful. It struck me that each one of us, we have so many different facets of our personality. And with each person with whom we have a relationship, a different facet of that personality manifests. So we're one person with our spouses, if we have a spouse. We are another person with our parents, different with my mom and with my dad for sure, right? And with all the people with whom we interact, we are different. So likewise, Vivekananda also, with each person he has a unique and personal relationship. And that is reflected in the letters that he writes to that person. And moreover, we find that the teachings that he's giving are often tailored specifically to a person, a specific person, when he's giving teachings in letters. And then at the same time, he's revealing a lot of his, depending on whom he's writing. To some people, he revealed actually quite a bit of his own personal understanding. And we see how his understanding matures over time. And we see how also his tremendous struggles, how much he struggled when he came to this country, how many difficulties he had to face all through, but especially at the beginning. We get a glimpse of those difficulties also from these letters. And he gives hints also of how he is guided at every step by Sri Ramakrishna. And one of the touching portions of these letters is how when he first comes to America and then he starts to face these tremendous difficulties, he has a kind of a doubt. It seems, at least reflected in the letters, there is some doubt. Did I do the right thing? Was I really meant to come to America and do this? Where am I getting the support? It seems that I'm running out of money. There's no place to go, no support. What do I do? And he sent a couple of letters back to India saying more or less, in effect, help! I'm running out of money. Send some money. And then, of course, within a short time, everything fell into place. And he also almost was embarrassed. He revealed almost an embarrassment in the subsequent letters that I thought I had to fend for myself. I thought I had to give up my old habit of depending entirely on the Lord and fend for myself. But now I find it's not so. The Lord sends people, the Lord sends whatever I need, and I'm taken care of at every step. So that was his experience reflected in these letters. And there are a few recipients who get many letters. So that's also wonderful that we can follow the letter, from letter to letter, we follow the thread of the conversation, as it were. Of course, we are unfortunately only seeing half of the conversation. Vivekananda surely, after writing a letter, he would tear up the letter that he was responding to and throw it out. Fortunately, many of the recipients of his letters did not do that. They kept them. And when the letters were first being collected, so many letters were coming from so many different places, and they kept turning up. New troves of letters would turn up when the original research was going on. So I thought we could just almost at random pick a few letters and go through them and see what kind of things we discover about Swamiji. You get some glimpses of Swami Vivekananda. So first one I've picked is not actually the one I was exactly looking for, but I couldn't find it so quickly. I have condensed all those 4 volumes into one PDF file because it's available as an ebook. So it's only like $10 to buy the ebook. So I bought the ebook and downloaded it because the 4 volumes, I think, along with shipping from India, it comes to $150 or something. So it's a little costly. So, but worth it. But the ebook, of course, makes it easier to read. So most of the first letters, he wrote a number of letters to one Pramadadas Mitra, who was a scholar in Varanasi. He was a Bengali, so the letters are written in Bengali, translated, of course, and he was a deep scholar of Vedanta, of Hindu scriptures. He was also a zamindar, a landlord. He was wealthy. He had enough land and properties, and the income from that so he was a wealthy man and a deep scholar and a Brahmin, very orthodox Hindu. So Swamiji, at first, in the first letters to Pramadadas Mitra, somehow they met during Swamiji's travels, and they developed a very close relationship, Swamiji respecting him very much. And Swamiji's brother disciples also would visit him and stay with him. And in the letters we find that Swamiji is asking him also many questions. He's trying to sort out his own thoughts about Hindu scripture and what are the essential teachings, what is not important, all those things. Later, of course, all this fell into place in his mind. So then, in the course of Swamiji's travels, he stopped at Ghazipur, where there was a great yogi, Bavari Baba, so-called because he used to eat. It was thought that he didn't eat any physical food, he just ate air. And Swamiji stayed there in Ghazipur for several months and developed a relationship with the Babaji. I'm not sure he ever actually saw the Babaji because he would speak from behind a closed door. And or maybe there was just a crack in the door or a hole in the door or something through which they would speak, and was genuinely a holy man. And Swamiji later would say that he was the greatest saint that he had met next to Sri Ramakrishna, this Bavari Baba. But a rather curious thing happened. On the one hand, his brother disciples and maybe especially some of the householder disciples were criticizing Swamiji. Why are you visiting this other saint? We had Ramakrishna. Why do you want to go to somebody else? And Swamiji getting defensive that I'll go to anybody, anywhere there is truth, I will go. And on the other hand, Swamiji himself starting to feel like he could learn something from Bavari Baba. Not only learn something, he wanted to learn from him yoga, hatha yoga, because he felt that his body, he was suffering a lot from back pain, lumbago. And Swamiji's health, he suffered from health troubles all throughout his life. So he thought he could learn some hatha yoga and strengthen his body. Sri Ramakrishna didn't teach him any hatha yoga. And then he slowly came to the conclusion that actually, though he wanted to learn from Bavari Baba wanted to learn from Swamiji. That Bavari Baba recognized the greatness of Swamiji. And then there's and I couldn't find that letter. That was the letter I was looking for. That Swamiji had fixed a date to get initiated into Hatha Yoga by Bavari Baba. And that night, in the middle of the night, he wakes up and sees Sri Ramakrishna standing at the foot of his bed, looking very sad. And Swamiji lay there and didn't say anything, and just lay there looking at him. And for a long time it was like that. Sri Ramakrishna standing there, and Swamiji is lying there, didn't say anything. Then when that vision ended, Swamiji decided, all right, well, maybe I won't do that initiation today. But a few days later, again he decided, that yes, I should have this initiation. Again Sri Ramakrishna appeared to him. So Swami Vivekananda had the direct experience of Sri Ramakrishna as a person guiding him. And also he fought with him, as it were, because this happened not once or twice, but dozens of times. He had the vision of Sri Ramakrishna and he didn't talk with him, only seeing. Finally, it took many times. I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly how many times, many times, not once or twice. It was at least 15 or 20 times that Swamiji decided for this initiation and then had to give it up, seeing Sri Ramakrishna. So anyhow, this is a letter to Sri Pramadadas Mitra, to whom he has been writing about Pavari Baba and also about his wanderings and his doings. And at the end, they had a falling out. Swami Vivekananda wrote to him a very touching letter, which is written a little bit after this one that we're going to read, in which he describes how they really should have a place on the Ganga for their master Sri Ramakrishna. They need to build some kind of temple for him and for his children to stay. And he writes very movingly, appealing to Pramadadas Mitra to help them by sharing their cause with the well-known, well-to-do people that he knows, and presumably also helping from his own pockets. And then the next letter, we see him writing only something like, yes, what you say is correct, that's too is correct. And we understand that Pramadadas Mitra's opinion was, you men are sannyasins, what are you doing building temples and all that? You are to wander from place to place and depend on God alone. So he didn't agree to help Swamiji, and then Swamiji stopped corresponding with Pramadadas Mitra. Anyhow, whatever it may be, he starts his letter as Purjapadeshu. This is one of the traditional ways of addressing someone in Bengali, which means really, your feet are worthy to be worshipped, as it were. So it's something expressing this kind of things. One thing that they do in these translations, anytime Swamiji writes something in Sanskrit, the original Sanskrit is given first, because many scholars also will be reading these letters and who know Sanskrit. So the Sanskrit is given. So here we go. Just now received your letter. This was written on 3rd March 1890 from Ghazipur. You may not know that in spite of the stern Vedantic views I hold, I am a very soft-natured man, and that has been causing me troubles. At the slightest touch, I give myself away. For howsoever I may try to think only of my own good, again and again I end up thinking about others. This time, with a strict resolve, I set out to pursue my own good. But I had to rush to Allahabad upon hearing about the illness of a brother. Swami Yogananda was quite ill. So Swamiji apparently had thought probably to come to Varanasi to see Pramadadas Mitra, and instead he ran to Allahabad. And Pramadadas used to criticize him, why are you worried so much for the illness of these people? You have to cut off all, a sannyasin should have no attachments. And Swamiji, in principle, he agreed that the sannyasins renounce everything and practice this vairagya, this intense detachment for the world and attachment for God. But Swamiji had this tremendous love for his brother disciples, that love which formed the bedrock of our order, and that love which still holds the Ramakrishna order together. And Pramadadas Mitra couldn't understand that. And of course, Swamiji also was a tremendous lover of humanity. And so he was not ready to give up loving humanity. And his heart really burst open in compassion for suffering humanity. And what could he do to alleviate that suffering? So now he says, and now this news comes from Rishikesh about Swami Abhedananda's illness, and my mind is running off there. I have sent a telegram to Sharat, Swami Saradananda, but no reply has come even today. This is such a place that even a telegram gets delayed so much. Okay, so telegram, even in Ghazipur, a remote place, it apparently would take a day or two to get a telegram, to reply to a telegram. The back pain obstinately refuses to leave me, causing a great deal of pain. For the last few days, I have not been able to go to see Babariji, but great is his kindness. He sends someone every day and gets my news. However, now I see, and he quotes a Hindi phrase, Ulta Samjhali Ram, which means Ram understood it backwards, right? There's a whole story about I don't remember the story exactly, but a man was caught by some soldiers and forced to march. And so he's marching and he's praying intensely to Rama that Rama, at least give me a horse. It's so difficult for me to walk. At least give me a horse. There are others that have horses. And then shortly after that, one of the horses in the army gives birth to a young colt, and it can hardly walk. And so they take the horse and they hey, grab that guy, and they give the foal, the young foal, the young baby horse to the man and say, carry the horse. And then the man says, Ram got it backwards. Ram understood it backwards. Ulta Samjhali Ram. Whereas I myself am a beggar at his door. He wants to learn from me. Perhaps he has not yet attained perfection. Too much of rites, vows, observances, and too much of self-concealment. When the ocean attains its fullness, it cannot be contained within its shores, I am sure. Because the yogi, Pavari Baba, was so humble, he would stay behind his door, he wouldn't show himself to anybody. And now Swamiji is realizing, if he was fully illumined, what's there to hide? Therefore, I have decided that it is not right to disturb this holy man unnecessarily, and I will soon depart, taking leave of him. What to do? Providence has dealt me a death blow by making me so soft-hearted. Babaji does not want to leave me, nor does Gagan Babu, whom probably you know, a very upright, noble, and kind-hearted man. He's staying with a gentleman named Gagan Chandra Rai in Ghazipur. If the telegram requires my leaving this place, I will go, means the reply regarding Swami Abhedananda's illness. If not, I am coming to you at Kashi in a few days. I am not letting you off. I must take you to Rishikesh. No excuse or objections will do. What are you saying about the difficulties of toilet facilities? Is there a lack of water or a lack of a proper place in the hills? See, these are the kind of passages that were omitted from the previous edition of the letters. So Pramadadas must have been expressing his worry about going to Rishikesh with Swamiji, that, well, where will I go to the toilet? Camping style, no? So is there a lack of water or a lack of a place in the hills? Tirthas and sannyasins, are they only in the Kali Yuga? Tirthas, places of pilgrimage, and sannyasins. I don't know what he means by that. Are they only in the Kali Yuga? If money is spent, then the owners of the lodges will even throw away their installed deities to make room for you. So no anxiety about a resting place. So he's poking him. Therefore, there is no problem. The summer has already set in there. but the heat will not be as much as Kashi, so much the better. The nights are always quite cool there. Therefore, a good sleep is almost a certainty. Why do you get frightened so much? I guarantee that you shall return home safe, and you shall have no trouble whatsoever. In this land, under the British rule, fakirs have troubles, but the householders do not face any troubles. This is my experience. Is it merely my fancy that I say I have some prior relation with you, referring to, he had were related in a previous birth. That to him. Just one letter from you swept away all my resolution, and I wend my way to Kashi, leaving all matters behind. I have again written a letter to Brother Gangadhar, that's Swami Akhandananda, and have asked him this time to return to the mutt. If he goes, he will certainly go via Kashi and meet you. How is the weather in Kashi these days? My stay here has cured me of all the symptoms of malaria. Only the lumbago makes me agitated. It is aching and troubling me day and night. I am thinking, how shall I climb the hills? I find wonderful endurance in Babaji, some of which I am begging of him. But there is no inclination in him to give, only to receive and receive. So I also leave from here. Yours in service, Narendra. Those days he was still signing his letters as Narendra. Though he was already Swami, he was already a sannyasin, probably had not yet adopted the name Vivekananda. He had several names. One was Satchidananda, so one was Vividishananda, right? Vividishananda. And when he was wandering, he would change his name from time to time to remain anonymous. And now he writes a postscript to the letter. P.S. I am not going to any other big person anymore. Then he quotes this Ram Prasad song, Remain, O mind, within yourself. Go not to anybody else's door. Whatever you seek, you shall obtain, sitting at your ease. Only seek for it in the privacy of your heart. There is the supreme treasure, the philosopher's stone, and he can give whatever you ask for. Countless gems, O mind, lie strewn about the portals of his abode. He is the wish-fulfilling stone who can give whatever you ask. And he also, this is a Ram Prasad song. Apnate apni theko mon. Song to one's own mind. O mind, stop roaming about. Go inside. There you will find everything you need. Now, this is a very interesting paragraph. Therefore, now, the great conclusion is that Ramakrishna has no peer. Nowhere else in this world exists that unprecedented perfection, that unconditional kindness for all, and that intense sympathy for man in bondage. Either he must be the avatara, as he himself used to say, or he whom the Vedanta speaks of as Nitya Siddha Mahapurusha, an ever-perfected divine soul. Loka hitaya muktopi sharira grahanakari, one who takes a birth for the purpose of the well-being of the humanity. One who, even though free, assumes a body for the good of humanity. This is my sure and certain conviction, and his worship has been referred to by Patanjali in the aphorism, Mahapurusha Pranidhanat Va. Which is not actually exactly from Patanjali. But it means the goal may be attained through devotion to a great saint, to a Mahapurusha. And then he waxes very poetic about Sri Ramakrishna. Never during his life did he refuse a single prayer of mine. Millions of my offenses he has forgiven. Such great love even my parents never had for me. This is no poetry, no exaggeration. This is the bare truth, which every one of his disciples knows. In times of danger and temptation, I incessantly wept, praying, "O God, do save me." No response came from anybody, but this wonderful great soul, or avatara, or whatever else he might be, by virtue of his being the indwelling spirit, came to know of all my affliction, and after calling me to his presence, removed it all forcibly. If the soul is immortal, if he still lives, I pray to him again and again. O Bhagavan Ramakrishna, thou infinite ocean of mercy and my only refuge, do graciously fulfill all the desires of my esteemed friend, who is a great man. May he whom alone I have found in this world to be like an ocean of unconditional mercy impart to you all that is good. Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Peace, peace, peace. P.S. Please reply promptly. Narendra. Oh, beautiful. And he signs it, it says, yours in service. It was Das Narendra. He would sign it as Das Narendra, as it means your servant. I am your servant. So how touching. In later letters, we see this conviction of Swamiji's as to who is Sri Ramakrishna has grown tremendously in his later letters, and also, of course, in the hymns that he wrote, like the hymns we sang tonight at the Arati, the Khandana Bhava Bandhana, which were written in 1897 or 1898, 98, I think. There we find that Swami Vivekananda has fully accepted and realized that Sri Ramakrishna is not an ordinary human being, but as he would call, avatar. Here he's saying, perhaps he is actually the avatar he used to say he was. So interesting how to see how in these early days, his understanding is still developing, still ripening. Right, avatar varishta. Yes. So let's skip just okay, this is another nice letter. Just because this was an introduction, we're just going to get a little taste of a few letters. This letter is Swami Vivekananda is in New York. He's at 54 West 33rd Street, and it's 11th April 1895. So remember, the Parliament of Religions was at 1893. It's 2 years after the Parliament. He's been 2 years a year and a half, almost 2 years since he came to America. He's been traveling all over, delivering his teachings. I think Goodwin may not yet be in the picture, but he's writing to Mrs. Bull, who was one of his main supporters, and he trusted her implicitly and completely. At least about anything she would advise him about himself, she would accept that. Though when she suggested that other people, that Swamiji listened to other people's advice, that he wouldn't accept. Now so here we go. Dear Mrs. Bull, the letter with the money order and the transcript have reached. Today I go to the bank to make the dollars into pounds. I am going away to the country tomorrow to see Mr. Leggett. A few days, a little fresh air will do me good, I hope. The Leggetts, of course, were very close to Swami Vivekananda. Mr. Leggett's, he was Francis Leggett, whom, when Swamiji got to know him better, he would address him as frankincense. He had the country estate known as Ridgely Manor, which has come back to the Ramakrishna order in about the year 2000 or so, or maybe just before that. When was it? Do you remember? A little after that, somewhere in the early aughts, as they say, the early 2000s. The Ridgely Manor came to us, and the couch where Swamiji used to take rest in the afternoon is still there in the entry hall of the building. Mr. Leggett loved Swamiji very much. His sister-in-law was Josephine MacLeod, who was another great supporter of Swamiji's. So, I have given up the project of removing from this house just now, as it will be too expensive, and moreover, it is not advisable to change just now. I am working it up slowly. He decided to settle down in one place and teach, give classes, and not just roam about. So that he had then, by this point, some disciples, some people who were practicing intensely also under his guidance. As to the medicine for leprosy, I have not much faith in that. These 2 oils have been used in India for leprosy and other skin diseases from time immemorial, and everybody knows about them. However, my latest advice from India is that my brother is all right. So there was some worry that Shashi Maharaj, Swami Ramakrishnananda, may have leprosy. He had some kind of skin problem. And that was why Swamiji passed him over for coming to the West, because of the skin problem. But it turns out it wasn't leprosy, but for some time I think they feared perhaps it was leprosy. And in those days they didn't have the sure cure for leprosy. I send you herewith the letter from His Highness the Maharaja of Khetri. Also enclosed the slip on Gurjan oil for leprosy. A lot of these little details were left out of earlier letters. And maybe it's not so interesting for us to know that there was a letter from the Maharaja of Khetri that he's sending to Mrs. Bull. But for scholars, for people who are studying Swamiji's life, all these tidbits are important. That to know that the Raja of Khetri was communicating regularly with Swamiji, and that Swamiji then forwarded those letters to Mrs. Bull. Perhaps those letters are still in her archives, those kind of things. So it's important to have all these details. Miss Hamlin has been helping me a good deal. I am very much grateful to her. She is very kind and sincere, I hope. And she wants me to be introduced to, quote, the right kind of people, unquote. Now Swamiji is going to get a little fiery. This is the 2nd edition of the hold yourself steady business, I am afraid. The only right sort of people are those whom the Lord sends. That is what I understand in my life's experience. They alone can and will help me. As for the rest, Lord, help them in a mass and save me from them. So Miss Hamlin apparently thought that Swamiji needed to be introduced to the wealthy, the elite circles, and he moved in the elite circles also sometimes. But he found that many of the people and some of the people who became his great supporters did come from those elite circles, but others did not. And he was not one to restrict his interactions to only the upper crust of society. So here Miss Hamlin apparently was pushing him to, trying to control him. And that was one, to give him some suggestion is one thing, but to try to control Swamiji, he would rebel immediately. Every one of my friends thought it will end in nothing, this, my getting up quarters all myself, and that no ladies will ever come there. Miss Hamlin especially thought that she or her right sort of people, quote unquote, are way up from such things as to go and listen to a man who lives by himself in a poor lodging. He took a room in a boarding house, in a poor part of the town, because he wanted to have his own quarters, not staying as the guest of some rich somebody, and just the students of the class will pay for the lodging. And so he said, so Miss Hamlin and you and all my friends thought that this will come to no good. But the right kind came for all that, day and night, and she too. So even Miss Hamlin came. Lord, how hard it is for man to believe in thee and thy mercies. 3 exclamation marks. Shiva, Shiva. Where is the right kind and where is the bad, mother? It is all he. In the tiger and in the lamb, in the saint and sinner, all he. In him I have taken my refuge, body, soul, and Atman. Will he leave me now after carrying me in his arms all my life? Not a drop will be in the ocean, not a twig in the deepest forest, not a crumb in the house of the God of wealth, if the Lord is not merciful. Streams will be in the desert, and the beggar will have plenty if he wills it. He seeth the sparrows fall. Are these but words, mother, or literal, actual life? Truce to these right sort of presentation. Thou art my right, thou my wrong, my Shiva. Lord, since a child I have taken refuge in thee. You will be with me in the tropics or in the poles, on the tops of mountains or in the depths of oceans. My stay, my guide in life, my refuge, my friend, my teacher, my God, my real self. Thou wilt never leave me, never. I know it for sure. Sometimes I become weak, alone, and struggling against odds, my God, and I think of human help. Save thou me forever from these weaknesses, and may I never, never seek for help from any being but thee. If a man puts his trust in another good man, he is never betrayed, never forsaken. Wilt thou forsake me, Father of all good? Thou who knowest that all my life I am thy servant and thine alone. Wilt thou give me over to be played upon by others or dragged down by evil? He will never leave me, I am sure, Mother. Your ever obedient son, Vivekananda. So what a powerful letter. This is Vivekananda, where he gets into a mood of ecstasy writing this letter. And what? Right sort of people? Everyone is the right sort of people. Who the Lord brings. So moving to read these words written clearly in a mood of ecstasy and deep prayer and devotion. We think of Swamiji, sometimes we don't realize how much of a lover he was, how much of a devotee actually he was. Because probably the influence of Jnana Yoga. The Jnana Yoga and the Raja Yoga are so scholarly and emphasizing the Jnana path, the path of wisdom, that we think of him that way. But actually, he was a tremendous lover with deep feelings and love, and this idea that I have taken refuge in you. Will you ever abandon me now? It will never happen. It cannot happen. That kind of intense faith. And so reading this also gives us the faith. It's tremendous. If we can also take refuge in the Lord fully, if we can fully surrender to the Lord, take full refuge, place our burden on him, he will not leave us. So this is the tremendous letter of Vivekananda. Looking for another letter. There are some long letters. But for this. Okay, I'm skipping forward up to London, 28th November, 1896. And he's writing to the Hale and McKinley sisters. On 28th November, 1896, he's staying in London, and he writes, "Dear sisters." Now, the Hale sisters, for those of you who know a little bit about Swami Vivekananda's life, know that when Swamiji came to Chicago for the Parliament, he lost his way. And actually, a good explanation has been given here. He was to go to Indiana Avenue, but he didn't know that there's an Indiana Avenue and an Indiana Street, so he went to Indiana Street and got lost, and he had lost the slip of paper with the exact address, and ended up wandering about all night, wandering about all day, and then finally taking shelter in a boxcar in a railway yard or something. And in the morning was sitting, looking rather bedraggled on the doorstep of a church on Dearborn Avenue. And a lady across the street, seeing him, she had heard about the Parliament of Religions, and she came down and asked, "Are you here for the Parliament?" And he said, yes, he was. and they were well connected. That was the Hales. That was Mrs. Hale. And she connected him with the right person, and that was the day before the Parliament started. So it was like heaven sent. And the Hales became Swami Vivekananda's American family. So close. He became so close. So many letters to Mrs. Hale are written, like a son writing to his mother. And there were 4 young women living with the Mr. and Mrs. Hale, their 2 daughters and their 2 nieces. And so there was Mary Hale and Harriet Hale and Isabel McKinley and Harriet McKinley. So there were 2 Harriets, and they were the 2 McKinley sisters and the Hale sisters. And he was closest of all with Mary Hale. But he was close to all of them. And of course, Swami Vivekananda, his relationship was utterly pure, just like a brother with his sisters. Dear sisters, I think you are the 4 persons I love most in this world, somehow or other, and I am vain enough to believe that you 4 have the same love for me. Therefore, I feel impelled to write a few lines to you before my departure to India. He's getting ready to return to India now after 4 years in the well, at least 3 years, 3.5 years in the West. The work in London has been a roaring success. The English are not so bright as the Americans, but once you touch their heart, it is yours forever. Slowly I have gained, and it is strange that in 6 months' work, I would have a steady class of 120 persons, apart from public lectures. Then everyone means work. The practical Englishman. Captain and Mrs. Xavier and Mr. Goodwin are going with me to India to work and spend their own money on it. 2 exclamation marks. There are scores here ready to do the same. Men and women of position, beautiful young girls, ready to give up everything for the idea if they once feel convinced. And last, not the least, the help in the shape of money to start my work in India has come. And more will follow. Well, Swami Vivekananda, when he first came to the West, his idea was, I need money. India is very poor. I need money to help the poor in India. So let me go to the wealthy and in America, and I will get money. But then it turned out that money was not so easily forthcoming as that. And also he saw the spiritual impoverishment of the Western society. So he understood that his mission was greater than just getting some money from America and Europe. The mission was really revolutionizing society, revolutionizing the world, bringing the teachings of Vedanta to the whole world, and also uplifting India. Always that was there. And then money did start to come. He did get, he sent significant amount of money to India all along. Even when he was in America, he was sending money to India. But he was also, he would also help people in America. Some of those poor people who would come to his classes, he would also help them. They had maybe not enough to eat. He would give them money also. So the money would come in one hand and go out the other hand. My ideas about the English have been revolutionized. I now understand why the Lord has blessed them above all other races. Steady, sincere to the backbone, with great depths of feeling, only with a crust of stoicism on the surface. If that is broken, you have your man. Now I am going to start a center in Calcutta and another in the Himalayas. The Himalayan one will be an entire hill about 7,000 feet high, cool in summer, cold in winter. Captain and Mrs. Xavier will live there, and it will be the center for European workers, as I do not want to kill them by forcing on them the Indian mode of living and the fiery plains. Interestingly, this is exactly what happened. They did find an entire hill, about 7,000 feet high, in Mayabati, and the Saviors lived there. Mr. Xavier didn't live long. He died in, I guess, I forget when he died, 1890. No, he died in the 1900, right? Or 1899, 1900. And yeah, we'll have to look it up. I think he died in 1900, but just before Swamiji got there. Mrs. Savior lived there for another 2 decades. Mother Savior, as she is known. My plan is to send out numbers of Hindu boys to every civilized country to preach and get men and women from foreign countries to work in India. This would be a good exchange. After having established the centers, I go about, up and down, like the gentleman in the book of Job. Here I must end to catch the mail. Things are opening for me, I am glad, and I know so you are. Now all blessings be yours, and all happiness. With eternal love, Vivekananda. P.S. What about Dharmapala? What is he doing? Give him my love if you meet him. Dharmapala was a Buddhist delegate to the Parliament of Religions from India, and Swamiji knew him and liked him, and so he's asking about him. Interestingly, in those days, the mail would leave at a certain time, and of course go and then on the ship and then over to New York, and then from New York by train into Chicago. So it would take some time for the letter to reach from London to Chicago. We forget. Most of us here are old enough that in our childhood also it was like that. You send a letter to India and it'll take a week or two, right? Now everything has changed, so young people don't understand that. We send an email and it goes instantly, and if we don't get the reply within a few hours, we start getting anxious. But in those days, it was a whole thing, and so you know what time the mail is leaving. So he had to finish the letter, seal it, put a stamp on it, and get it out in that day's mail. I'm not sure if the mail would go out every day or not, so probably every day. So that is a little glimpse of his beautiful letter to, he had many beautiful letters to the Hale sisters, and particularly to Mary Hale. So that's probably enough. It's almost 8:30. Oh, yeah, then this clock is slow. I'm following the clock in the temple wall. I was assuming that you all would have kept it properly set before my coming. Okay, so thank you for giving me the chance to share 3 letters of Swamiji. To me, they're thrilling. It's worth going through the whole thing. It's a wonderful, and there's enough. A lot of footnotes. I didn't read those footnotes, but there's a lot of footnotes explaining different things, giving the references where he quotes the sparrows fall. He's quoting the Bible and gives that reference. All those kind of things. So it's a wonderful, wonderful study and very inspiring. So. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. We bow down to that king of yatis, the king of the yogis, the monks, the Swami Vivekananda, the great sage, who is the very embodiment of existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute, and the master, the destroyer of suffering. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram.